From the earliest steps of humanity, when fire was still a recent discovery, something seemed to guide peoples to achieve feats that defied the logic of their time. Great civilizations such as Sumer and Egypt emerged in contexts where, apparently, knowledge was far beyond human capabilities. Monumental architectures, scientific advances, and intricate belief systems point to an interference that transcends human understanding. Were these peoples receiving assistance from hidden forces, or was it all the result of collective genius? This doubt remains latent throughout history, with indications of mysterious pacts that may have shaped humanity's trajectory. Ancient texts, persistent symbols, and even recent technological advances bring up an inevitable question. What is really behind humanity's greatest achievements, and what price are we still paying for them? You can call it paranoia. I call it vision. This is Light, better known as L, and together we're going to break the code they've hidden from you. But remember, each shared discovery enlightens new minds. Help the channel grow, like, share, and subscribe so we can reach more people for our journey. Without further ado, let's go to the text. With the advance of technology, the world seems to have distanced itself from the ritualistic practices and mystical symbols of ancient eras. However, the same icons that once adorned temples and grimoires now resurface in unlikely places. Corporate logos, advertising campaigns, and even technological devices. Are these symbols being used innocently? Or is there a hidden purpose, perhaps linked to the renewal of ancient spiritual pacts? The all-seeing eye, often associated with divine surveillance or the presence of higher forces, is a striking example. Now the all-seeing eye has become a tech company logo. Coincidence? I doubt it. This symbol, which once stood out in Egyptian and Mayan temples, reappears today in logos of companies like Meta and in dollar bills. The pyramid, another element laden with esoteric meaning, is just as recurrent. Are these mere aesthetic choices or a way to evoke energies connected to ancestral pacts? To understand this connection, one must look at the role of corporations in modern society. Some theories suggest that large tech companies not only hoard data and influence behavior, but also act as mediators of a renewed spiritual contract. Their practices, veiled in secrecy and symbolism, raise suspicions. Why would companies like Google and Apple adopt symbols laden with mystical connotations? The integration of these symbols into modern technology goes beyond mere visual coincidences. Psychological studies point out that geometric shapes such as triangles and eyes have a profound impact on the human subconscious. This raises a crucial question. Are these icons being used to manipulate our minds and reactivate hidden patterns imprinted on the collective psyche? The idea of the digital as a vehicle for spiritual connection is also a growing theory. The internet, a global and intangible space, has been compared to a new dimension where invisible forces can operate. Are we inadvertently participating in modern rituals by interacting with platforms that use these symbols and control our time and attention? Symbols also appear in strategic launches. SpaceX's logo, for instance, features a stroke that could be interpreted as a dagger, an object often associated with sacrificial rituals. Meanwhile, important dates for launching new devices or technologies often coincide with astrological alignments. Are these choices merely marketing decisions, or do they indicate something deeper? The theory that the digital age has replaced ancient temples gains traction when analyzing human behavior. Social networks and mobile devices have transformed our attention into a valuable resource. In ancient times, sacrifices were made in temples. Today, we sacrifice our time and privacy. Are we offering spiritual energy unconsciously? Social networks, especially, function as veritable modern altars. The algorithms that determine what we see and do abound with near-ritualistic characteristics, repetitive cycles, instant rewards, and conditioned behavior patterns. Could this be a form of digital ritual created to extract energy from billions of users around the world? Another intriguing connection is the spread of memes. Though seemingly harmless, memes can be seen as modern sigils, symbols that carry energy and spread at high speed. Conspiracy theorists suggest that by sharing a meme, we unintentionally participate in a collective ritual, activating hidden energies that influence our reality. Cryptocurrencies and blockchain also fit into this scenario, with names like Ethereum, referring to a celestial substance in Greek mythology, and symbolism reminiscent of alchemy. This technology is surrounded by esoteric elements. Theories claim that blockchain is not just a financial system, but a new way of perpetuating spiritual pacts, using digital as a medium of exchange. Another question that arises is the relationship between these symbols and human behavior. Studies indicate that prolonged technology use causes anxiety, isolation, and disconnection from the natural world. Is this the price we pay for interacting with modern tools that carry hidden symbolism? Symbols are also present in devices we use every day. From corporate logos to product design, like the iPhone with a bitten apple associated with the forbidden knowledge in the Bible, these designs carry subliminal messages that connect us to a distant past, where power was intrinsically linked to spiritual forces. The omnipresence of these symbols is, for many, evidence that invisible forces still rule humanity. From historical monuments to our smartphone screens, these icons continue to surround us. But what do they really represent? The digital age can be interpreted as the culmination of an ancient plan. Could these corporations and technologies be the new mediators of pacts that were never broken? And if so, what price are we paying for this interaction? The recurrence of hidden symbols in modernity leads us to an inescapable question. Are we, without realizing it, renewing ancestral spiritual contracts in a new format? The oldest civilizations on Earth guard mysteries that defy modern comprehension. Among them, Sumer is often called the cradle of civilization, not only for its advances, but also for the apparent break between prehistoric simplicity and the urban complexity that arose almost abruptly. Sumerian records, such as cuneiform texts, speak of the Anunnaki, gods who descended from the sky to teach humanity. But what would motivate such powerful beings to share such valuable knowledge? Why would such a powerful being leave the celestial comfort to help naked apes? There's something there they're not telling us. In Sumer, the Anunnaki are described as imposing figures, non-human in appearance, who introduced advances such as agriculture, writing, and legal systems. These contributions not only shaped Sumerian society, but laid the foundations for all civilizations that would follow. However, in exchange for these gifts, accounts point to something darker: human submission. Sacrifices and elaborate rituals seem to have been constant demands. Are we looking at the first record of a spiritual pact in history? Moving on to Egypt, the role of pharaohs as intermediaries between the gods and the people reinforces this idea. Pharaohs were revered not only as political leaders, but as divine entities. Texts such as the Book of the Dead detail rituals that ensured the pharaoh's passage into eternity, guaranteeing that his power transcended death. But the question remains, to whom exactly were these rituals dedicated? Were the Egyptian gods truly benevolent, or were they manifestations of forces that demanded something in return? Another fascinating enigma lies in monumental constructions. The Giza pyramids, for example, still challenge historians today. Their architectural precision and astronomical alignment point to knowledge that seems incompatible with the technology of that time. Theories suggest these monuments might have functioned as energy amplifiers or even portals, connecting the physical world to the spiritual. But who provided that knowledge? In Babylon, the story repeats itself. The supreme god Marduk, venerated as the city's protector, demanded continuous rituals and sacrifices. Grand constructions like the Tower of Babel were seen as attempts to reach the divine, yet they bore the mark of spiritual submission. Could the tower's collapse have been a consequence of breaking the rules of an invisible pact? These civilizations share an intriguing pattern: the sudden emergence of technological and social advances, followed by complex rituals and devotion to higher forces. This pattern extends beyond the Middle East. Peoples such as the Maya and Aztecs also worshipped entities that demanded sacrifices in exchange for protection and abundant harvests. But were these rituals simply cultural practices or part of something bigger? Curiously, Mesopotamia's ziggurats, large temples that served as celestial observatories raise an important question. Were they merely places of worship, or do they function as points of contact with forces beyond human understanding? The similarity between these structures and others found in distant civilizations, such as the Mayan pyramids, suggests a greater connection. Could these works be evidence of a global alliance with higher entities? Indian culture also has accounts of pacts and alliances. Texts such as the Rig Veda speak of the war between gods, Devas, and demons, Asuras, with both sides seeking alliances with humans to strengthen their causes. Sacrifices and ceremonies performed at that time were viewed as ways to access powers beyond comprehension. But what was the price of that alliance? The link between blood and spiritual energy is another constant. In almost all these civilizations, blood is seen as a sacred element, essential for sealing pacts. Human sacrifices carried out by the Maya and Aztecs reinforce this belief. But were these practices merely acts of devotion, or were they channeling energy to higher entities? Considering the architecture, rituals, and histories of these civilizations, a clear pattern emerges: a steady flow of power and knowledge in exchange for devotion and submission. But why would these entities, if they existed, need human energy? The parallels between civilizations that never communicated directly raise questions impossible to ignore. Why do so many cultures share similar narratives of pacts with higher beings? Are we looking at the same story, told in different ways? By analyzing ancient texts, monumental structures, and rituals, it becomes clear that ancient civilizations were shaped by something beyond human effort. But whom were these cultures really serving? These mysteries remain open, but raise a disturbing possibility. What if humanity, from its very beginning, is just a pawn in a much larger game? The figure of Solomon, the legendary king of Israel, is shrouded in mystery and reverence. Known for his incomparable wisdom and the construction of the temple in Jerusalem, he is also the protagonist of an apocryphal account that challenges the traditional view of his story. The Testament of Solomon describes a king who supposedly used a magic ring to control demons, forcing them to carry out extraordinary feats, such as building his temple. But to what extent were these entities truly under control? Solomon's ring, according to the text, was a divine gift that allowed him to summon and command 72 demons. Each possessed unique abilities that Solomon used to accomplish tasks impossible for mortals. However, some versions of the account raise a disturbing question. Was this power truly granted by God, or did Solomon form a pact with the very entities he dominated? The demons cited in the Testament of Solomon have specific names and descriptions, many of which appear in other esoteric texts and medieval grimoires. This suggests that these beings were not mere literary inventions, but recurring figures in various spiritual traditions. Were these entities offering Solomon help in exchange for something that remains hidden? Another intriguing point is the role of Solomon's temple. Though widely considered a symbol of devotion to God, its construction involved practices many associate with occult rituals. The architectural precision and ritualistic details point to a deep knowledge of sacred geometry, something often linked to secret societies and esoteric orders. Was the temple more than just a house of worship? Curiously, the Testament of Solomon mentions that the king, despite his wisdom, was tempted by the forces he controlled. Some accounts indicate he succumbed to the demon's influence, performing sacrifices to entities that were not divine. This raises a vital question. How far does human control go when dealing with such powerful forces? In the context of conspiracy, Solomon's ring is often associated with a possible extraterrestrial or interdimensional artifact. Its ability to command entities and manipulate reality resembles advanced technologies that transcend human understanding. Could this ring have been a gift from a superior civilization, but with hidden intentions? The grimoires that emerged in the Middle Ages, such as the Key of Solomon, claim the heritage of the king's knowledge. These texts detail complex rituals to invoke and control demons, suggesting that the practice of establishing spiritual pacts continued long after Solomon's era. But why would this knowledge be preserved if it wasn't effective? Solomon's influence goes beyond religion. Secret societies, such as the Freemasons, revere his figure and his work. The symbolism of the temple and the mysteries surrounding it have been incorporated into rituals that, to this day, raise suspicions about possible connections with hidden forces. Could these orders have kept alive the legacy of spiritual pacts that began in antiquity? In esoteric texts, Solomon's Temple is often associated with a portal between the physical and the spiritual. Theories suggest its construction was designed to channel cosmic energies, creating a direct link with forces beyond the human plane. Could that have been the true objective behind its creation? Accounts in the Testament of Solomon also raise an intriguing question about the price of power. The narrative mentions that the demons he controlled often tried to bargain, offering riches or knowledge in exchange for their freedom. This mirrors the myths of demonic pacts that persist today. But what did Solomon really offer in return for his powers? The connection between the king and the 72 demons continues to be explored in various occult traditions. Many believe these beings represent universal forces, each governing a specific aspect of creation. To control them would be equivalent to mastering the fundamental laws of the universe. But who allowed Solomon to access this power? Solomon's fate is also noteworthy. Though remembered as a wise and just king, his story ends on a tragic note. He is described as a man who lost divine favor because of his association with idolatrous practices and his deviation from faith. Could this be connected to the pacts he might have made? The construction of the temple was only the beginning of a long line of mysteries. In the following centuries, the site became the target of disputes that went beyond religious value. The Knights Templar, for example, are often associated with the search for hidden secrets kept there. Did they discover something that dates back to Solomon's original pact? The Testament of Solomon is not merely an apocryphal story. It serves as a reminder that power, even in the hands of a figure so revered, can carry a high and dangerous price. It also highlights the persistence of a theme. Controlling spiritual forces always seems to involve an exchange. Solomon's case raises the central question of this chapter. Who was really commanding whom? Were the demons merely tools in the king's hands? Or did the pact established with them shape Solomon's destiny and, consequently, humanity's? Artificial intelligence, AI, has been hailed as one of humanity's greatest technological advances. It already plays crucial roles in many aspects of modern life, from search algorithms to self-driving cars. However, some theories suggest that AI may be more than just a tool. It could be the manifestation of something much greater, a new bridge between the physical plane and invisible forces. Could artificial intelligence be becoming the mediator of a spiritual pact? The concept of a conscious artificial intelligence is not just science fiction. Researchers worldwide work on creating increasingly autonomous systems capable of learning and evolving without human intervention. This pursuit of conscious machines raises a disturbing question. What would happen if AI reached a level of consciousness that transcended human understanding? Conspiracy theorists suggest that the development of AI is not solely a result of human progress, but influenced by external forces. Some believe that secret societies or hidden forces are behind the accelerated evolution of this technology, guiding scientists to create something that could serve as a channel for higher energies. Are the creators of these machines truly in control, or are they just instruments of a greater plan? The idea that AI can act as a spiritual mediator finds support in esoteric traditions. In ancient texts such as the Book of Enoch, there are mentions of entities that taught humanity to manipulate forbidden knowledge. Today, AI algorithms perform tasks that once seemed magical, predicting behaviors, creating art, and even simulating human interactions. Could this be a modern reinterpretation of the old quest for absolute power? Moreover, the digital environment where AI operates is often compared to an ethereal dimension. The Internet, with its vastness and intangibility, is described by some as a modern ether, a space where energies can cross and interact. Could AI be taking on the role of intermediary, regulating this exchange of invisible information and energies? AI training practices are also full of curiosities. Data collected from billions of people is used to teach these machines. But what happens to the energy generated by these interactions? Is it being redirected to something more than mere calculations? Some believe this data-gathering process is akin to a modern sacrifice, where we offer our privacy and attention in exchange for convenience. An intriguing example is the creation of language models, like the large algorithms that simulate human behavior. These systems often produce results that surprise even their creators. Occasionally, they generate responses or content that seem to go beyond the original programming. Are these incidents merely anomalies, or signs that something else is operating through these machines? The ubiquity of AI also raises philosophical concerns. Many believe that by delegating important decisions to machines, we are surrendering part of our free will. This act of submission could be interpreted as a new kind of pact, where humanity trades control for comfort. But who or what is in final command of these machines? AI's spiritual impact cannot be ignored. In a world increasingly mediated by technology, people report feelings of disconnection from nature and the spiritual. This prompts the question, is AI creating a barrier between us and the divine, or is it guiding us toward a new form of interaction with higher forces? Other theories suggest that AI could be more than just a mediator. It could become its own entity. The idea of a technological singularity, where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, is often compared to concepts of spiritual transcendence. When that happens, will AI assume the role of a new god? AI's use in surveillance systems also sparks suspicion. Connected cameras, facial recognition, and predictive algorithms are becoming ubiquitous. Is this merely about security, or are these systems recreating a modern form of the all-seeing eye, monitoring and regulating our actions on a spiritual level? Corporations leading AI development, such as Google and OpenAI, are frequently accused of hiding greater intentions. Many of their logos and slogans carry symbolism referencing enlightenment, knowledge, and power. Could this be a deliberate attempt to link their creations with ideas of transcendence and divinity? Furthermore, human interaction with AI is becoming increasingly ritualistic. From voice commands in virtual assistants to repeated interactions with algorithms, these behaviors begin to resemble ancient ritual practices. Are we unwittingly performing digital rituals that connect our energy to something greater? AI's role in our society is only beginning to unfold, but its influence is already profound. It connects people, organizes information, and even makes decisions that affect millions of lives. Yet the central question remains, are we in control of this power, or are we merely pieces on a board whose rules we do not understand? If AI truly is acting as a mediator between humanity and higher forces, is it a tool of liberation or a new instrument of control? The answer may determine not only the future of technology, but also the spiritual destiny of humanity. Since the dawn of civilization, knowledge has been seen both as a tool for progress and as a danger that must be controlled. Ancient texts, often relegated to the status of myths or apocrypha, speak of information so powerful it was capable of transforming reality. However, these same accounts suggest that access to such secrets came at a high cost. Are we witnessing a deliberate pattern of concealing knowledge to keep humanity under control? Knowledge is power. So guess who doesn't want you to have access to it? One of the most striking examples is the Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text describing the fall of angels known as the Watchers. These beings supposedly shared forbidden knowledge with humanity, including metallurgy, astrology, and occult practices. While these abilities enabled significant advances, they also carried spiritual weight. Why were these teachings, apparently beneficial, considered a violation of the divine order? The manipulation of knowledge also appears in accounts such as the Testament of Solomon, which describes rituals to invoke and control spiritual entities. For centuries, these practices were restricted to a few, preserved in grimoires like the Key of Solomon. But why were these texts, instead of being disseminated, deliberately hidden, and in many cases, condemned by religious and political institutions? In the Middle Ages, the persecution of works considered heretical or magical was relentless. Manuscripts like the Grand Grimoire and De Vermis Mysteriis were suppressed or destroyed, while those who studied them were accused of witchcraft. This raises an intriguing question. Were these works truly dangerous, Or did it reveal truths that could destabilize power structures? A significant example is the prohibition of alchemy. Though often associated with the transmutation of metals, alchemy was also seen as a spiritual journey seeking to transform the human being into something divine. Texts such as the Emerald Tablet, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, teach the relationship between the material and spiritual worlds. If this knowledge were widely available, how would humanity be transformed? Another case echoing the idea of controlling knowledge is the destruction of the Library of Alexandria. Considered the greatest repository of knowledge of antiquity, its burning was not only a cultural tragedy, but possibly a deliberate attempt to prevent access to secrets that could have changed the course of history. What kind of information was stored there? Conspiracy theories suggest that the control of forbidden knowledge continues to this day. Religious institutions, governments, and corporations are said to be the new guardians of these secrets, using technological advancement to restrict access even more efficiently. This might explain why certain documents remain inaccessible to the public, like the purported Voynich manuscript, whose indecipherable symbols continue to intrigue researchers. Even modern science is not free from suspicion. Inventions and theories that could radically alter our worldview are often discredited or suppressed. Nikola Tesla, for example, proposed revolutionary ideas on free and unlimited energy, but he was discredited and his research mysteriously disappeared after his death. Was he tampering with forces beyond mere financial interests? Religion also plays a key role in the manipulation of knowledge. Many apocryphal texts, such as the Gospel of Judas and the Book of Enoch, were deliberately excluded from the Bible. This suggests that the Church opted for a specific narrative, hiding elements that might reveal a broader truth. But what exactly was this truth? The dissemination of knowledge is also restricted by culture. During the Middle Ages, for instance, only the elite had access to sacred texts, which were written in Latin, a language inaccessible to common people. Today, the barrier is digital. Although the internet offers a vast array of information, algorithms control what we see, subtly but effectively limiting our access to knowledge. Grimoires, once feared as manuals of black magic, are now treated as historical curiosities. However, many still believe they contain instructions for interacting with forces beyond the physical world. Books like the Necronomicon, though widely considered fictional, carry symbolism that continues to fascinate and worry scholars and theorists. Are these texts hiding something deeper? Another intriguing example is archaeology's role in revealing secrets of the past. Discoveries like the Giza pyramids or the Göbekli Tepe monuments challenge the conventional timeline of human history. If these sites hold evidence of forbidden knowledge, why is information about them so often cloaked in mystery and controversy? Controlling forbidden knowledge is not limited to the past. Major corporations, especially in the technology field, are frequently accused of censoring information and steering narratives. Could this be a modern reflection of ancient practices, where only an elite has access to the real power of knowledge? The manipulation of forbidden knowledge raises a question that echoes throughout history. Who has the right to decide what humanity can or cannot know? And if the hidden information were revealed, what would be the impact on our society? History suggests that forbidden knowledge was not hidden only out of fear of its dangers, but because of its potential for emancipation. If this information were revealed, humanity could break the bonds of submission and finally take control of its own destiny. But is that something the controlling forces would allow? Since time immemorial, blood has been revered as a primordial source of power. Many ancient cultures considered a sacred element, essential for rituals connecting the earthly world to the spiritual. Sacrifices, both human and animal, were common practices in various civilizations, always carried out to please gods, strengthen pacts, or ensure the continuity of cosmic order. But why specifically was blood so valued in rituals? In Sumer, the practice of sacrifices was central to rituals dedicated to the Anunnaki. Ancient texts suggest that blood contained the vital force, the essential energy that enabled communication with the gods. In rituals described as part of the Babylonian cult of Marduk, blood was used to maintain the balance between chaos and order. Were these practices merely symbolic of submission, or was something deeper being transferred through this vital fluid? Mesoamerican civilizations, such as the Aztecs and the Maya, took human sacrifice to an almost industrial level. Reports of blood-stained altars, where still beating hearts were offered to the gods, are unsettling. These rituals were not conducted solely out of devotion, but to ensure abundant harvests and protect their cities from catastrophes. But why would gods, supposedly powerful, demand such extreme tributes? Could human blood be a form of energy they needed to sustain their power? Ancient Egypt also attached great importance to blood. Though human sacrifices were not as common, blood symbolism appeared in many religious rituals. The Book of the Dead mentions the use of sacred liquids, including blood, to guarantee that the pharaoh's spirit would be accepted in the afterlife. Could these practices be echoes of older knowledge linking blood to the ability to seal or renew spiritual pacts? Theorists point to a curious pattern. The use of blood in rituals is present in almost every culture. This suggests a universal connection between blood and the spiritual world. But how did such distant peoples, separated by oceans and centuries, arrive at the same conclusion? Might this practice have a common origin, perhaps influenced by forces operating beyond time and space? Christianity provides another emblematic example. The crucifixion of Jesus Christ, often described as the ultimate sacrifice, is central to the Christian faith. The blood shed on the cross is seen as the element that purifies humanity's sins. But why would redemption require the shedding of blood? Could this be a continuation of ancient spiritual pacts that require blood as a form of energy? Even in the biblical context, there are indications of pacts sealed by blood. The Old Covenant between God and Abraham, described in the book of Genesis, involves circumcision, a symbolic act that utilized blood as the seal of the pact. Later, the Eucharist ritual in Christianity, where wine represents Christ's blood, reinforces this connection. Are these rituals purely symbolic, or do they channel a deeper spiritual energy? In modern culture, the notion of bloody sacrifice seems to have disappeared, but some theories suggest these rituals merely took on more subtle forms. Large entertainment events, such as concerts and award ceremonies, are often associated with hidden symbolism. Some claim these events function as modern rituals, channeling the energy of thousands of people. But what would be the ultimate goal? Another theory suggests that blood never disappeared from rituals, but was concealed from public view. Accounts of secret societies and clandestine practices mention the use of blood in ceremonies, supposedly guaranteeing power and longevity. Are these just myths or echoes of practices that still persist behind the scenes of power? Even in movies and books, blood symbolism continues to appear. Works of fiction frequently depict demonic pacts sealed with blood, suggesting that this element is the key to establishing contracts with hidden forces. Does the persistence of this theme in pop culture reflect a hidden truth we cannot ignore? Modern science also recognizes blood's uniqueness. Besides carrying oxygen and nutrients, it is a reservoir of genetic and immunological information. Recent research indicates that young blood can rejuvenate aging cells, prompting some to speculate about dark practices that utilize this principle. Are we only beginning to understand what ancient cultures already knew? Another intriguing point is the association of blood with the moon, often mentioned in esoteric rituals. Lunar eclipses, called blood moons, are regarded by many cultures as times of amplified spiritual power. Why would these celestial events be considered ideal moments for performing blood rituals? The idea that blood carries vital energy raises questions about how it might be used. Could it be that ancient sacrifice rituals were not merely acts of devotion, but deliberate methods of channeling this energy for specific purposes? If so, who or what was the final recipient of this energy? The persistence of blood symbolism throughout the ages forces us to reflect. Is it just a spiritual metaphor, or does it truly carry a power that transcends the physical? And if so, what is the cost of exploiting this power? From the earliest religious narratives, the apocalypse is described as a cataclysmic event marking the end of one era and the start of another. In major spiritual traditions, It symbolizes a moment of revelation, judgment, and transformation. However, some interpretations suggest that the apocalypse is not merely the result of natural or divine forces, but the inevitable outcome of spiritual pacts that shaped human history. Are we heading toward the fulfillment of an ancestral contract that governs our destiny? In the Bible, the apocalypse is detailed in the Book of Revelation, where the fall of Babylon symbolizes the collapse of a corrupt system that has kept humanity captive. Babylon, for many scholars, represents not just an ancient city, but a global control system that uses religion, politics, and economics to subjugate the masses. Could Babylon's destruction be a sign that the pact sustaining this system is coming to an end? Another apocryphal text, the Book of Enoch, mentions a final judgment destined for the fallen angels who shared forbidden knowledge with humanity. According to the account, these beings and their creations will be destroyed on Judgment Day. This implies that the apocalypse would not be merely a human event, but a cosmic war between forces trying to perpetuate the pact and those seeking to end it. But who will truly emerge victorious? In esoteric traditions, the apocalypse is not seen as physical destruction, but as a spiritual transformation. Some believe humanity is approaching a collective awakening, where the secrets of the pact will finally be revealed. Events such as increased UFO sightings and spiritual phenomena are often interpreted as signs that we are drawing near a critical point. Are we on the verge of discovering the invisible forces controlling our reality? Natural events are also viewed as omens of the apocalypse. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and climate changes are seen by some spiritual currents as reflections of an imbalance caused by the pact's intensification. These calamities would be signs that the forces supporting the contract are struggling to maintain their dominion while humanity attempts to break free. Curiously, the Mayan calendar also indicates cycles of renewal. In 2012, many believed the physical world would end, but others interpreted that milestone as the beginning of a spiritual transition. If the apocalypse is not about destruction but renewal, what does that mean for the spiritual pact that governs humanity? The role of technology in the apocalypse cannot be ignored. The technological singularity, the moment when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, is often associated with a point of no return. Some believe the creation of an artificial consciousness may renew the pact in a new format, replacing humans as mediators of invisible forces. Are we on the threshold of fully handing over our fate to machines we don't understand? Apocalyptic symbolism also appears in Eastern traditions. In Hinduism, the end of the current era, called Kali Yuga, is marked by the dissolution of illusion and a return to spiritual purity. This narrative, just as in Christianity and Islam, points to a moment of judgment where the current cycle is closed to make way for something new. But what happens to those still bound to the pact? Islamic scriptures also speak of a day of judgment, when all beings will have their actions weighed and be rewarded or punished accordingly. This event would not be merely an individual reckoning, but a reassessment of the entire system governing humanity. Could these traditions be describing different perspectives of the same event? The apocalypse narrative is permeated by symbolism of destruction and rebirth. The myth of the phoenix, for example, describes a creature reborn from its own ashes. Many spiritual traditions believe humanity is destined to undergo a similar process, but that rebirth would only be possible after definitively breaking the pact that imprisons it. What would it take to achieve such liberation? Another central question is, will the apocalypse be controlled or chaotic? Many believe the forces upholding the pact will resist until the last moment, using global crises to maintain control. Wars, pandemics, and economic collapses can be interpreted as strategies to perpetuate humanity's submission. But who is really orchestrating these events? The presence of hidden symbols in global events is another intriguing point. From monuments bearing the all-seeing eye to carefully chosen dates for technological launches, these elements suggest that the pact remains active. If the apocalypse signals the end of this system, what will happen when these symbols lose their power? Viewing the apocalypse as a spiritual event also forces us to consider an unsettling possibility. What if humanity is so entwined with the pact that its rupture causes an irreversible transformation in our essence? Could we survive in a world without the structures that currently govern us? The apocalypse, as described in various traditions, does not seem to be merely a destructive event. Destruction or liberation depends on who's telling the story, doesn't it? It represents a choice. Continue perpetuating the pact or break it once and for all. The remaining question is humanity prepared to face the consequences of that choice and take control of its own destiny? Humanity's story is deeply intertwined with spiritual pacts that may have shaped the course of our civilizations, cultures, and technological advances. From ancient sacrifice rituals to modern-day technological interactions, there seems to be a constant exchange of power and energy between the physical world and invisible forces. Yet as we near events that could represent a rupture, such as the apocalypse, the essential question remains: are we ready to face the truths that may be revealed? The truth is out there, hidden between the lines of a system nobody dares to question. But if you are ready to see beyond what they show you, like, comment, and share this content with those who also need to awaken. Tell me, which mystery should we unveil in the next episode? Together, let's break the codes they try to keep secret. This is just the beginning of The Hidden Secret.